Spin wheel.
Testing, and we are
Test.
live. I don't have my phone on me, so if someone has to check the stream.
About 2. Did turn on my notifications. So that's what we are. Did turn on my notifications.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
So,
Hello, test.
Check.
hello, test.
Testing
Okay,
1, 2.
cool.
Can you hear me loud and clear? You like it? You love it? You want some more
Love
of it? I tried so hard. Can't rise above it. Don't know what it is, but I don't know.
Right, but I like it. I love it. I want some more of it.
Yeah, country song.
Yeah.
All right.
Tim McGraw, shout out. Shreveport, Louisiana. All right. Good on YouTube. Going live. 3, 2, 1. No, we're not. We're not going live.
Try it again.
What's that?
Love the poster.
3,
Oh, yeah.
2,
Nice, huh?
Oh, bro.
1.
Got your tags too.
Yeah.
There we go. Welcome back. Episode 17. And we're not.
Sorry.
And we are
I
not.
already knew. I was like, yeah. Rudy looked at me because you said, here we go. I was like,
All right. And we're trying to get in 3 serious faces, everybody.
all right.
I'll take it away. Fuck it. Anyway. All right. Lunch blowing a sandwich. Welcome back. Episode 17.
Episode 17.
PB&J Podcast.
Bringing the P as always.
I'm bringing the B, baby.
Always bringing up the J, baby. This week, special.
guest.
Our first
Yeah.
collaboration.
We have Errol.
What's the E?
Huh?
What's he bringing? What's the E bringing?
I mean, I don't mind some eggs with my PB&J on the side, on the side.
Bring some eggs,
Yeah.
some essentials in there.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need some of that.
I was thinking maybe the everything bagel.
Oh,
Maybe.
Love it.
little everything seasoning on top of that PB&J.
Yeah.
I like it.
So before we get into the episode really quick, episode 17, the number 17, I was actually looking up this morning. So this number can represent wisdom and spiritual awareness. It could also indicate you have started on a path to spiritual growth and enlightenment. And when I looked that up this morning, and what
Wow.
we're doing today,
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
it was like, wow, that's
It's a
We're gonna get-
fitting episode.
it really is. So just wanted to share that before we got into everything. But it was one of those like goosebump kind of moments. Where I was
Yeah.
like, wait, hold on a minute.
I know.
Didn't
No
even
such
know-
thing as coincidences.
Exactly.
That's wild.
But-
So to get into it real quick, Errol has a YouTube channel called Transcend in Life.
Yes.
We thought this would be a fitting collab. So Errol, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about your channel.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. First of all, my name is Errol, and my purpose with the channel is to become the best version of myself while I help other people do the same. And so I share the things that I learn along the way, the books that I read or still read, through my mentors, through reading books, speaking to people, watching videos, and also consuming a lot of content around just how to become a better person. And this started with a few things of realizing things about myself, that there was a time where I felt like I was too shy to even talk to a person or meeting people. And a part of it was even speaking to women. there was a fear.
Oh, we're going to get
Context
into
over
that
there.
topic today, for sure.
And my introduction to, I guess, self-improvement was through a book called The Game. It was basically around
Neil Strauss, right?
Neil Strauss,
I was going to say
Oh.
Triple H.
the life of a pickup artist. And my journey started there. Things that I agree with, things that I don't agree with, that's a different story. But it was just an overall version of me becoming the best version of myself and trying to find my full potential rather than live a half life, but
Nice.
live a full life.
Yeah.
So my videos are around tools, techniques to really navigate through life.
Awesome. I mean, we really appreciate you being here. We've all known Errol for quite some time. And we're going to get into it today with some deep questions.
I'm excited.
Very deep questions.
Yeah.
And gonna pause here real quick. Shameless plug. For our podcast and Instagram, check us out, pb.j_podcast. We have a link tree. On today's episode, I will link Errol's YouTube in the description of this podcast, and we will figure out a way to link it on Spotify as well.
Yeah.
Just so you guys can check out his YouTube channel.
Yeah, Errol, if you want to go ahead and shout out your YouTube channel and Instagram.
Yeah, of course. My YouTube channel, you can find me at Transcend Life. And for my Instagram, it's Transcend Life Official.
Nice. Yeah, he's got some good quotes on there, so I highly recommend people check out that Instagram page.
Definitely worth a follow.
Yeah, please do so. So to get into it, real quick, Errol, what made you decide to start the YouTube channel specifically?
Yeah, so if I go back to even to high school, I just felt like whenever I gave a presentation, I just stuttered a lot of my words. I used a lot of filler words and couldn't really think straight while I was trying to give a presentation, even though I prepared for it and I knew what I was talking about. And then there was a time where it was a very low part of my life, and I was trying to see how I can improve myself. And there was a suggestion from one of my mentors for me to sign up for a Toastmasters club. At first, I was very reserved and very hesitant to do that. But once I did that, it probably was the best thing I could have done because I got out of my shell and started speaking more and being able to talk more.
Yeah. Like articulate
articulate myself better.
What exactly is Toastmasters?
So Toastmasters is an international organization where they have many clubs all around the world, and you pretty much become a member. It's usually pretty affordable. It's just to keep the clubs afloat for any type of costs. But it's basically a group of people trying to improve their leadership skills, their communication skills, and it's a safe space. So my club is very small, about 10 to 15 people each session, but you start writing some speeches and then you give those speeches and then they give you feedback after.
Okay.
So it's a way to improve your communication skills and leadership skills because you can also volunteer for becoming the president, the communications person, the treasurer. So it kind of gives you responsibility towards keeping that club afloat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I've sat in on one of the Toastmaster meetings before.
I believe it was remote, right?
Yeah, it was a remote one over Zoom or something. I don't remember, but I like that they do, like what Errol mentioned, they do give you like constructive criticism when someone does give a speech, from someone outside looking in, like I was like, that speech was great, right? But then with the people that have been in Toastmasters for a while, they like found flaws in the speech, and they picked out where you can like be better and how you can articulate yourself better in those areas. But they did it in such like a very like compassionate way. It was like, great job, just like patting you on the back for it, but then at the same time giving you constructive criticism on how to improve. Outside looking in, I saw no issue with that speech, but then after they criticized in a good way, I was like, oh, I see it. So I think Toastmasters is a great program, or great like community, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
People should definitely look into that.
But yeah, after Toastmasters, I just wanted to become more comfortable in front of a camera and kind of expand on my skills to being able to give impromptu speeches in front of a camera. And it's a self-improvement thing.
Yeah.
But it's also the things that I share could help other people to live a better life, live a more peaceful and happy life. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And Winston Churchill has a quote. It says, "You make a living from what you get, but you make a life of what you give."
Ooh.
So I think a part of life is about giving.
Yeah.
And whatever I can learn, I want to share it with the world and share it with people if it can help them live a better life.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. I mean, thanks for sharing that. Follow-up question to your YouTube channel. Do you talk about only like self-development, or do you talk about like problems that you go through and things like that? Like what topics do you typically talk about?
Yeah, I always try to bring in my own experience as well. Yes, I study the greats of our time, the greats of the past, because we can learn a lot from them. But I try to bring my own experiences into them as well. And some of the things that I bring in is maybe relationship related, I guess, advice in some form. Yeah. And just try to bring in my own experience in that sense.
Your own perspective on it.
My own perspective. And, I did have social anxiety, and that's something that I had to work on as well through meditation, through journaling. So those are the things that I also make videos around and try to help people get on those as well, since it's really, really helped me live a more, well-rounded life.
You don't get tilted as much
No.
in life like by other
true.
People.
Yeah. Yes, of course, we all still get mad here and there, but I do see that I can regulate my emotions way better than I was able to.
How long did that how long was that journey for you to get to a point where you were like content with like your emotions and being able to like control them?
The thing is, I don't think any of us gets really content.
Yeah.
I always see a room for improvement.
Oh, facts.
Because there are things that we don't realize until maybe something happens to us or we have to go through an experience.
Yeah.
We don't really know how we're going to react to that. But the best thing we can do is practice certain things to help you regulate your emotions. And I think the best thing that I've tried to do was meditation.
Okay.
Because you can go through emotions in a safe and a personal space, where then within your actual life, it can help you regulate your emotions.
So you're saying Draymond Green could have probably used some meditation before punching Jordan Poole in the face.
Yeah, I don't know about his regular day or his routine.
Yeah.
But maybe his meditations are more towards his games.
Yeah.
Becoming more comfortable with the final game pressure or team pressure, but I think yes, he could have used a little bit more constraint before doing that because it has repercussions.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick about the Draymond Green Jordan Poole incident, because obviously a video just leaked of the punch. I don't know if you ever see it, Rennie.
I didn't see it.
No,
heard about it.
It's basketball, orange thing that you bounce around. It's two players that got into it at practice. Now it was supposed to be a closed off practice where no cameras, no videos, no recording, no nothing. And someone had recorded this incident. Jordan Poole and Draymond were going at it on the sidelines with each other, and then Draymond got in front of Jordan Poole's face, and Jordan Poole didn't like that, I guess, so he shoved Draymond, and Draymond just
Superman punch right in the face.
Wow. Yeah, it was just
buckled his legs and everything, like
full force, like just all his momentum into that punch.
I mean, you can be a competitor, but that kind of takes a biscuit. That's a little bit.
Yeah,
with your own teammate too.
So I know this happens quite a bit in practices. Like fights happen all the time. Yeah. The only reason this is being blown out of proportion is because it was recorded and leaked.
Exactly.
Proof. Yeah.
And they just won the championship. And everything's supposed to be all rainbows. You know, you're on high.
Yeah.
And the media is going to take this as a divisive tool and like, the Warriors are going to split now. They're going to separate, or they're going to win again. It's media driven. But that video did not look good for the Warriors in the sense of, number one, you're letting someone leak it.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, that punch, from my perspective, that punch was more than just them jawing at that practice.
Yeah.
That looked like there was some buildup.
Yeah.
There was definitely more behind that punch than just them jawing.
Right.
We're all competitors here. We all play team sports at one time in our life. Like, you can get to a point where you get frustrated.
Yeah.
But that punch there was more than just a little jawing,
It was brewing.
Yeah. So
we know Draymond, right? He always confronts players, even during games, kicking them, pushing them, getting into fights. So it's very normal for competitive people to get into that type of altercation, but I think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
And just like you mentioned, the videotape just makes it look even worse.
Yeah. Anything out of context, right? Because you can't hear what they're jawing about.
There definitely was a history there.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't just one incident. I think it was a lot of ego involved in it as well. I mean, it was Jordan Poole's first championship too, right? So that probably boosts your ego in some way as well.
Yeah, so I just showed Rooney the video. Thoughts?
Draymond didn't have any at that moment other than just seeing red.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
A few days ago.
Monday, Tuesday, something.
Yeah.
What's been done so far? Come out of the team camp? Anything?
So, as of right now, there are no repercussions for Draymond at all. Not a fine, not a suspension, not a fire, nothing. He did come out and said that he was taking time away from the team, still getting paid. So,
I mean, he needs to meditate a little bit.
I mean, a part of it is, it's true though, because we did talk about a build-up, right? Mm-hmm. When we talk about a build-up, we're like a pressure cooker in certain ways. If we don't express our emotions in some shape or form, it's going to build up and it's going to explode at one point. And that incident was exactly that.
Yeah.
Even having a conversation with the person or, meditating on it, really thinking about the wider picture of what it all actually means so that you don't do things that are regrettable.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was an unnecessary act on Draymond's
The main
part.
thing here is he needs to learn from that mistake. He needs to meditate about that. What made him switch, whatever it was, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and he's the more veteran guy, right? He's supposed to be a role model to these young guys. And like with age, I think there should be some type of calmness that you gain with it. But we know Draymond, and he's a great player, but also a great defensive player.
Yeah, there you go.
But also a little hot-headed. So in that moment, it just happened, and hopefully they take the right actions towards it.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, on the street, that's assault.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just not a regular guy. This guy's huge.
Yeah,
it's that punch.
Yeah,
is going to do some damage. I mean,
oh yeah. Now, what's crazy is the punch happened and everything, but the investigation that's going on is not about Draymond and Jordan, but about who leaked the video.
Oh my!
So that's the thing right now. That's the big thing. It's who cares that two people just got into an altercation and Draymond just used his entire body to lay this guy out. Let's find out who sent this to TMZ Sports. I mean, that's absurd.
That's irresponsible.
Yeah,
especially if it's I understand if it's somebody on the staff. I mean, I still don't understand. But specifically, if it's a teammate that did that was in the stands, that's where it crosses the line for me. Like, it crosses the line, of course, if a staffer did it, because it's a staffer. He's getting underpaid when, I'm going to video this. I'm going to make so much money. TMZ probably paid him, I don't know, like $10,000 for that video, something like that.
Yeah.
But if it's a teammate, come on, man.
Agreed. Like, first of all, whoever leaked it, shitty person. I'm just saying, like, come on, man. Like, what's your purpose behind that? Like, seriously,
is this like a bench player who's been benched forever? Yeah. He's just like, I'm done with this.
Plot twist: it's Steve Kerr in the stands.
He's like, I'm not letting it get away this time. MJ punched me in the '80s.
I'm still here. I do have a devil's advocate take on that, though. I have two, actually. So as a man, right? I actually have more respect for, this is a hot take and devil's advocate take. I have more respect for Draymond for throwing a punch after getting shoved instead of it just being like washed over. I have more respect that he threw that punch because he was the one who initiated it by going into his face. And going into someone's face and like talking down, Jordan Poole retaliated by pushing away. Jordan Poole didn't throw the punch. Pushing away is essentially trying to deter confrontation. So he was trying to de-escalate it. And that's when, Draymond saw red. So he started it by jawing. If he was really about it, which clearly he was, because he about decapitated Jordan Poole, he retaliated with a punch. So that's my perspective from a man of being disrespected. So it's kind of a hot take. I kind of had that thought. The other take I have is kind of not Draymond or Jordan. It's the other teammates. Like, you let it get to that point as other teammates in the situation. You let it get to that point. I know they came in as soon as the punch was thrown. But if they were jawing so hard like this, at some point someone needs to step up and say, "Hey, how about you go in the locker room? Let's go chill out." Because I feel like a jawing of just what you see in the video, what was that, like 20 seconds? That's not where that led up to. Like, that had to be going on for a long time.
Yeah.
A teammate has to step up and be like, "All right, we need to, you go here, you go here. You don't need to, separate."
Especially with the vets and stuff they've got in that team.
Aaron's favorite player, Steph Curry, could have stepped up and done something,
Steph did what I thought Steph would do. How about that? Nothing.
Where do you get out when you need it?
And we don't need to. We don't even know the previous, like, what happened right before or like a minute before. So there's a lot of things that were in the shadow, but yeah, I've even seen the people like right next to them. Maybe they were trainers or coaches. They were just watching. There was that one guy that tried to help de-escalate it, but yeah, I think they could have done a better job.
Yeah, like no one stepped forward until the punch was thrown. Like Draymond had time to get in his face. Jordan pushed him off, and then the punch, and then they came. It's like no. Someone got to jump in, even when they're going close to each other. Like I get it, it's grown men, so grown men have to control their own emotions. But as a team and as a team sport, I just felt like more could have been done to prevent that whole situation.
I'd agree.
But we also have to think about Jordan Poole's situation now, right? You got straight up punched in the face, and even said his legs buckled. I mean, that's not a great view to be put online, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's supposed to be a private setting, I'm assuming. The staffers
Yeah,
are
that
supposed
was
to be taping
Yeah,
that.
no, it's close practice. Yeah.
So number one, Draymond. If Errol can tell you anything, meditate. But that would be your number one. If someone was to start on a better path of life, would you say number one would be focus on meditation?
That's a good question.
So I think meditation comes in many forms, and there's an idea around meditation is not actually to improve our lives. It's a way of living. It's a way of life. But yes, now meditation has become more popular with more guided meditations with your apps. So it does have a lot of benefits that it can add to us. But meditation didn't come out for self-improvement. It's a way of living, so it gives you the benefits. But I think in a way, when you try to do it for the benefits, it's defeating the purpose. But this is of course, a perspective. So I've seen how meditation has improved my life. So I would definitely be an advocate for it. I would definitely recommend it to people. And yeah, I think it's very simple. It's not easy because with all of us, if we've tried it before, tried to keep quiet in a room, our brain just rushes with thoughts.
Yeah.
But the more you practice, the better you get. And you start seeing the improvements if you just stick with it. And you can even increase your time with it. Start with 5 minutes and then push it to 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever helps you and live a more optimal life.
Okay.
I do have a question strictly on meditation because I've tried it less than a handful of times, and I cannot get to that like blank slate Zen. I cannot do it, and it's not that I can't do it. I just can't figure out how to get to that point. So let's say you can get to that point. What does it? I know from what I hear, it's nothingness, right? Like no thoughts.
Not necessarily. I think thoughts are always going to be there. It's always going to pass through, but the best way to think about it that I've learned is to think of them as just clouds. They're just passing by. You don't have to identify with them. You don't have to criticize them. You don't have to judge them. Just let them pass through and just try to keep a calm and stay in that meditative state.
Okay.
It's pretty much try to clear your mind from all the thoughts. I guess in some shape or form, we have tens of thousands of thoughts that goes through our heads each and every day. It's a way to just really let those thoughts just pass by and see how calmer you get.
Would you say meditation comes in like various forms?
Yeah, for sure. There are many ways to meditate. You can actively meditate even while you're taking a walk.
Yeah.
You can meditate while you're walking. You can meditate while sitting. You can meditate while running.
Mm-hmm.
You can meditate anywhere you want. And that's why it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
You can be in a subway going to your next destination and you can just close your eyes or not even do that. And you can be in a meditative state.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people have this stigma like if you're meditating, you got to be sitting down, crisscross applesauce, and just look like your hands on your legs or your thighs, and you're either eyes closed or you're just staring at like a blank wall. No, that's not necessarily the only way to meditate.
Exactly.
Is it the ability of like harnessing those thoughts and not acting on them, just letting them go? Just like you said, as clouds, you just kind of let them pass by, but there's no action. You just kind of staying focused on what you're...
And the best way to do it is, a very popular way to do it is just to focus on your breath, right? Inhale, exhale. When you focus on your breath, you don't really associate yourself with the thoughts. You just let them go. And you might have scenarios where you get distracted with your thoughts, right? We all have things that are going on within our lives, and that things that we might be anxious about or worried about. But in that state, in that moment, when you focus on your breath, then you can disassociate with those thoughts. And I think that's one of the best ways we can, clear our minds, because that's an important part of it as well. We're consuming all this information. So it's good to kind of disconnect with that.
Yeah, I feel like, to your point, you said meditation isn't there to improve your life, more so as a tool to like, how would you say, like, navigate through life, maybe. It's not so much just to improve it, but I feel like to be able to meditate, you need to be aware about what is like causing the issue, and then you meditate to kind of calm down that issue, no?
Yeah, and a part of it is exploring certain things that you might not be even aware of, right? A lot of things go in our subconscious mind. So it's a great way to understanding what your mindset is, how you think. Are you thinking more positively?
Yeah.
Are you thinking more negatively?
Yeah.
What's your language toward yourself?
So it's like self-awareness and reflection.
Yes.
It's important.
That's a part of meditation as well. It's, like you said, many ways to meditate, using guided meditations as well, where they guide you through the meditation. And that's actually how I started.
Yeah.
And then you can move into whatever helps you, whatever serves you in that sense. And I think it's important for us to connect to our true selves. And Sadhguru talks about this. I think it's a very fascinating concept that you are not this body, you're also not this mind. Like your true self is only the awareness of this body and of this mind.
Damn, that's powerful.
So if you can disassociate yourself with your mind, with your thoughts, with this body is only a vessel that you're in. And your mind is the tool that navigates you through the human experience.
Right.
And you're the awareness that's experiencing this. So he has a guided meditation, and his mantra is, I am not this body. I am not even the mind. And when you can understand that, you can navigate through life better. Because your thoughts are there.
Yeah.
And he also calls it a chemical factory. This is a fascinating chemical factory. And anything that goes to your thoughts, you don't have to associate with.
Right.
It's just your experiences, the things that you've been through are being recorded in there, and it repeats itself.
That's crazy.
So you want to reprogram yourself to where you're thinking more positively,
right,
and having a language that's more beneficial for you.
And who is this again? Who?
Sadhguru.
Okay.
He's the shit.
Yeah.
I'd recommend. Yeah. He's also like very hip.
He is.
He's a very hip guy.
He has a nice way of seeing life.
Yeah.
And I don't know his work in entirety, but I've read some of his books and I watch his videos, and I try to pick up whatever is beneficial for my life as well.
So with you going on this path how long have you been doing this?
For like self-improvement,
Yeah.
or like I mentioned before, it started with being able to speak to women,
Yeah.
or girls or women,
And we're
So-
going to get to that.
but the deeper part of it is becoming less shy,
Okay.
becoming a little bit more social. So because our social lives are really important for our quality of life, but also our longevity.
Mhm.
Right? There's a Harvard study that went on for like 75 years. I think it's one of the longest studies ever. And the number one indicator of happiness and health at an old age was pretty much your social connections,
Mhm.
because we're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
So if we're isolated, we start getting more sick, less sleep, and a worse quality of life. So a part of it was realizing that being more social in certain scenarios and not feeling isolated.
The importance of being social and
Yeah.
putting yourself out there without being too shy.
Exactly. Because it's all going in our brains, right?
Mhm.
It's all going through our thoughts. Those are our limiting beliefs are the only thing that's holding us back from living an amazing life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once you realize that, once you create awareness around it, then you can start working on it, right?
How does someone, someone who is looking to get into that, discovering what their limiting beliefs are, how does someone discover that? How does someone get aware of what their limiting beliefs are?
The best way is to focus on your language toward yourself.
Okay.
First of all, when you're starting something new or you're
Yeah.
doing something, what's the language that you use? Is it encouraging or is it diminishing you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you start something, do you go with, I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
or I can't do this? Like,
Mhm.
what's your first thought process with certain questions that you ask for yourself? So ask yourself questions that you want answers to. So that's a part of it as well, right? Because we just go through life and we live our day-to-day life. We go to work. We're in this flow state. We're in
Yeah.
this routine state. But sometimes it's great to just step back and reflect on our thoughts to gain awareness
Yeah.
and then improve on them. The second best way is to journal.
Yeah.
Journaling is great, especially put a timer on. Just get a piece of paper, put a timer on, and write for 10 minutes without stopping, without any judgment. And you'll see that how your brain works, how your thoughts work, how you think about things. It's so important to do this so that you can then see where are the things that are bothering you. What's your thought process like? What's your mindset looking like?
So for an example, say if I were to do this for the first time, journaling, what goes on that piece of paper? Is it every thought that comes into
Every
your head?
thought. Every single thought that comes up, you just write it down without any judgment, without any critique. I mean, at first you will, but just write without stopping. And even if a thought comes up like, oh, I don't know what to write,
Mhm.
write that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My leg feels weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Just
I have socks on. Yes. Like
Just-
anything that comes to your mind, write those down.
And then over time, does that
Yes.
transform to what? Say you do it day one, and then 3 months down the line, you kind of transform those thoughts into what does it look like 3 months down the line when you're comfortable with it?
Exactly. And you'll have more insight towards what your thoughts are going through. And the more you work on improving yourself, those thoughts are going to change as well.
Mm.
And you see that change. And if you want, you can write a book about it later on because you're writing all these thoughts down. It's not just nonsense that you're writing down. you'll actually have like really insightful, maybe even questions. If you have questions, write those down.
It's a journey, really.
It is. I mean, this is our journey, right?
Yeah,
The human experience.
I mean, full transparency, end of 2020, for the most part, everyone here knows I went through a little rough time mentally. Errol was a good mentor during that time. And one of the things he made me do was like journal. And I did that for like 90 days straight.
Very important.
And
the consistency.
Yeah, it's very, I cannot stress enough how important it is to like be consistent with that. 90 days down the line, I look back at what I wrote on day one and is significantly different than what I was saying to myself or what I was writing down on day 90. Completely different, to a point where, John, I've told you this before. I'm just being straight up candid here. Like, I would tell myself in my head, like, fuck you a lot. And to a point where I was even saying it, if I was passing a mirror, I would say, fuck you, like, to myself. I could tear up right now. But, like, over time, I realized, and I was more aware that I was doing that, because I still do it time and time again. John, I experienced that to you. Like, where I'll say, fuck you. I'm like, wait, why? Like, I'm now realizing I have more awareness, like, whoa, why am I saying fuck you? Then I'll figure out why that's still in my thought process. But it was a lot worse back in the day. I just say it to myself so many times. If I pass a mirror, I'd always say it. But journaling really helped my process of like being kinder to myself and understanding that what I was thinking in my head about, being lower valued or insufficient in certain ways, that kind of subsided over time. But it's interesting. I could write a book just showing everything I was writing down. I mean, I'm not going to get into details, but like, it's good.
But it's your experience.
Yeah, it's
right?
my experience. Yeah.
And it can help a lot of people. Like writing those down, it's helping you. But a lot of people go through that as well.
Yeah.
Right? Just going in front of the mirror and not liking what they see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess through your journey, you've seen that being more kind to yourself, being more compassionate to yourself actually really helps with how you see yourself as well.
And I recommend if like, even if after that 9-day process, you see yourself like, kind of straying off it, like don't beat yourself up.
Exactly.
Like it happens, life happens, time, you might not have time, even though 10 minutes is really not that long. It really isn't. Everyone's got 10 minutes. Just pick it back up. Or if you realize that is something that helps you, and during that time you're struggling with something or going through some sort of bad experience, just pick up the journal and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be as consistent. I would say in the beginning you do, but then after that, kind of like figure out where you are in that process and then pick it back up.
Yeah, the consistency helps you build that habit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reason. You don't have to journal every single day.
No.
As you mentioned, if things come up, if you want to just put whatever is in your mind to a piece of paper to make it more sense out of it, then just do that alone.
I know someone who he does journal, but it's based it's more religious based.
Sure.
Yeah, more scripture, Christian scripture based. But he has shared with me a little bit about, because he has, no matter what he has his time set in the morning. After he wakes up, he gets his necessities done. He blocks off like an hour, no matter what. He could be traveling. He could be like super important business meetings to go to or anything like that. Then he'll wake up early and he sets an hour, and he stayed consistent with it. And he's even shared with me some stuff, I guess, in his journaling. Like even I've seen progress. But he, like I said, he does it mostly for Christian scripture, but it's still self-reflection, self-improvement, because even let's say a scripture he reads out of the Bible, he connects that with his own personal life and even dissects that scripture. And so, I mean, I think he's been doing it for a few years now.
That's
every
amazing.
single day. I was like,
Wow.
that's mental strength to begin with, right? Like to be doing something every single day. That's so.
But there's a deeper meaning in that, right? It's for him to be able to do that very consistently. First of all, he's made it a habit, and he's created boundaries around it, right?
Mhm.
Waking up earlier if he has to, even if he's traveling, even if he's tired. So that's very important. But he also has his heart in it.
Yeah.
Like he's dedicated to his beliefs, his religion. So that also ties you to doing that journaling and keeping it consistent.
How do you take this, after you get over that point, into a relationship with someone else? Like how, because the other person, you're not expecting them to be on the same level as you if you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
So did you find it first getting into a relationship and someone maybe giving you that time difficult, or like how did you go about that? I suppose going into a new relationship.
Yeah. To see, first of all, if this is something that's really important to you, and then you get into a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the time that it takes, first of all, can be very short, 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever works for you. His friend takes an hour. But again, whatever works for you and whatever you can benefit from. And creating boundaries around it, right? It's very important for you. And it's a part of your morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you a better person, because if you're not helping yourself, if you're not improving yourself, and if you're not content with yourself, whatever you bring into the relationship, you don't want to come in with that baggage. You don't want to lay that on the other person. And I mean, ultimately, I see relationships as two independent people coming together to form that unity.
Mm-hmm.
So if meditation, if journaling is part of your morning routine and you bring it into your relationship, I think, you create those boundaries from the get-go.
Okay.
To go off that point, how important is having like alone time? Would you say being alone is an important part of life?
Yeah, I think Jay Shetty talks about this.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily remember the exact breaking point or the breakage of your time, but it's something like 2 days with your partner, 2 days with your friends throughout the week, and at least a day by yourself, doing things that you enjoy, doing things that is for you to rejuvenate and feel more refreshed. Because as we've seen during COVID, when we're on a lockdown, a lot of people are struggling because they have to spend time with their spouse for a longer period of time, all the time. So this was strenuous on their relationships. But what we need to realize is that we also need some alone time as well. Of course, there are going to be outliers where some people love spending time with each other every single day, all the time. But in a general sense, we shouldn't lose our identity.
Damn.
Yeah. Because I was in a situation where I lost my identity in a relationship where it was always us. And I didn't really take time to reflect on myself, to improve myself. So I found myself in that situation.
You weren't living your life anymore.
Yeah.
Basically. Wow.
And building that unity, it's still an us situation. Of course, whoever your partner is, your teammates, and you're pushing through life together, right? And you're rooting for each other. So if alone time gets you, again, recovery, if it makes you feel more rejuvenated, if it makes you feel happier, then it should be a part of that relationship. And if the other person can accept this, that's beautiful. And if they don't, then it's your choice, right?
So, okay, there we go. That's a good one. It's your choice. So you're saying, let's say hypothetically, I like my alone time. My partner loves the quality time aspect of things, where they always want to be around. How how do you communicate with them about that? Like, and let's say they aren't receptive to that. Would you say that's like a breakup type of? Would that be a good reason to break up?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, if your partner is limiting you in any way, I mean, of
Ooh.
course, have this communication, have this conversation for sure, as two adults. But if they are limiting you in any way, then you don't necessarily want to be in that relationship, right? You always want to be supportive.
Mhm.
And it's not that you're not going to have fights, you're not going to have disagreements.
Yeah.
But part of it is a little bit of compromise, maybe. But if it's important to you, then your partner should understand that, and you should create those boundaries. Because anytime you do something that's not true to you in a relationship, you lose a part of your soul. Maybe the first time you do it, you don't realize it.
Yeah.
But down the line, whenever you do something that you really don't want to do, it will chip away from you.
Okay.
And it will definitely decrease the quality of your life. Because then you start feeling resentful for that person as well at the time. And you don't want to be in that situation.
And at the same time, I definitely want to find a girl that is respectful of my alone time, because I love my alone time. I like that's like my time to reflect, or my time to do what I want, kind of like, just whatever that might be, right? Playing basketball, going to gym.
But if your love language is quality time, you'll also put aside time for spending quality time with.
Exactly. I would have to fit that in. But I know a lot of people are so. I don't want to be that guy that's dependent on my partner at any times. Like, for instance, shout out to one of my friends who came out not too long ago. He was talking about his significant other going out of town for probably like a couple of weeks, and he was just like, "This is the first time I've been by myself, sleeping in my own bed by myself since we've been married," and like he just didn't know what to do, like, and he kind of like reaching out to people or reaching out to friends that he doesn't normally see on like a weekly basis or even like a monthly basis, and just trying to connect to fill in the alone time. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that type of person. I mean, I'm sure he's happy and whatever, but I don't want to be so dependent on my significant other. If they go out of town, I'm like, yo, I can't be alone. Like, this is weird. I feel like
you don't have your own life.
Yeah, like it's almost like, yo, it's too cohesive, you know? I personally don't like to see life like that, in that way.
Yeah, I don't think it's about independence.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about codependency.
Yeah.
But it's something called interdependency.
Ooh, okay.
You don't necessarily need each other to fulfill certain happiness or holes.
Yeah.
But you come together, unite together to build a better life.
Right.
And live an amazing life.
Right. That's fair. Interdependency.
So I agree with you. A codependent relationship, it can work, but it really depends on the people.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a tough one.
Yeah, because in a general sense, a woman will lose attraction to a guy who's dependent on each other.
Ooh, like down the line.
Down the line.
Why do you say that?
Because being independent is in our nature, is in our true nature. And I think as men, we need to take responsibility on being able to lead in any situation. So if you're dependent on your spouse to do certain things or to feel happy, then, like you said, when they're away,
Yeah.
you feel this void that you don't have your identity.
Yeah, that's scary to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
So in any case, I think being too dependent on someone is not the best way to go. But again, any relationship is different, and if it works for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
works for them.
Yeah. If they're happy, they're happy at the end of the day.
But you also have to think about, what if this person's not in your life anymore?
Right.
What happens then, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you've spent 3, 5, 8, 10 years with this person.
Yeah.
They're no longer in your life. Anything can happen. What's going to happen then? Are you going to be okay?
Yeah, that's true.
You will be, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do in that situation?
Right.
Or are you going to just break down?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's what do you have to fall back on when that's not there anymore, right? How far down are you going to fall?
Hopefully you have a great support system,
Yeah.
friends that you keep
Yeah,
you afloat.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got y'all.
Lay your troubles on my
But y'all better get me too.
Your
I don't think I'll ever
worries
be
in my pocket.
codependent though.
Rest your love on me tonight. All right, anyway.
So to stay with the relationship topic,
Sure.
so one of the reasons you started this journey is to talk to girls, right?
Yes.
How did you go about, how did you go about that practice? Like, what did you learn and achieve doing so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what pickup lines did you use?
I think
Can I buy you a drink?
we had a natural inclination
Yeah.
towards
Women.
women. And of course, a part of it was not being able to approach them, not being able to speak to them without feeling nervous or reserved, not being able to show my true self.
Yeah.
So it started with just taking action towards anything, really. Just go up to a person and just say hi. Like, I would put myself into situations where I was going to say hi to 5 people today. You can start
I remember that.
you can
practice.
start as
Yeah.
small as possible.
Yeah.
So it started with that. And then it moved into maybe going to bars, clubs, and talking to as many people as possible like that night. And the great perspective that I had was, at the end of the day, we're looking for a partner, or at least for me, that we're compatible with. Obviously that we're attracted to, but that we're compatible with as well. So imagine a scenario, and I'm pretty sure I told you about this. Imagine a scenario where in your club, right, and you're trying to find the partner for you. And let's say once you find that partner, you will receive $20,000. Right?
And go.
I'm going to Publix right now.
I'm going to Sprouts right now.
In this scenario, would you not try your best to find that person that has that $20,000?
Mm.
And that $20,000 represents whatever you're looking in a woman. Now, I'm not saying that a club or a bar is the best place to meet a woman. But
That's where he wants me to meet a woman.
it's a place that you can.
He said, go to a
it's a
strip
valid
club.
place.
Strip club. You might find 20 grand on the floor.
At least in some Coke.
Yeah.
So once I got that perspective, it makes a lot of sense to me that you will look for that person until you find that $20,000. Not everyone is going to have that $20,000,
Mm-hmm.
but one person might. So you keep trying.
Wow, that's a good perspective.
And then through this experience, you're going to gain more confidence, because confidence is probably the number one thing that will attract a girl to be attracted to you, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence,
Exactly.
sitting up straight and being confident.
Stick that chest out.
Sticking your chest out.
Yeah.
Peacock.
So, real quick about that, the confidence aspect of things. I know for me, when it comes to approaching girls, it's what I think in my head is like, damn, I'm being a burden. Like I'm bothering. I'm
Mhm.
bothering. It could be a guy too. It don't matter, right? I'm like, so that's why. Just my own experience. It's like that's what's preventing me from approaching. Period. It's like I'm a bother. I even don't want to tell the waiter my order's wrong or something like. It's like that's what's in my head to why I don't approach. That's like the number one thing. Number two would probably be the confidence part, but I think those two can go hand in hand. No,
They can.
yeah.
Yep.
Like, how do you? For me, what advice would you give me to set aside that thought of me being a burden to other people?
I think a good perspective is, and I try to see everything from like a third point view, or like
Yeah.
a bird's eye view of the picture that we're all human. We all have issues. We all have insecurities.
Mhm.
It comes in various shapes and forms. And what we can do is to accept them and try to improve them, right?
Mhm.
We're all human, and none of us are better or worse than each other
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Yes, some people might be more successful, might have better looks, be more attractive, but at the end of the day, we, like, value-wise, we're all the same.
Yeah.
So if you have that perspective and you try to think about not putting people on a pedestal, because that's something that I used to do as well, where if a person
Right
is,
here.
if a person is very attractive,
Yeah.
you start feeling like you're not worthy of their time, or your whole state changes, even the way you present yourself. Everything changes when you put someone on a pedestal,
You need to level it out.
and you need to level it out.
Mhm.
And the best way to do that is by taking action, speaking to more people, and speaking to people that you think that they're out of your league.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh.
Because it's all your mindset
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And I think, yes, women look into and want a lot of things from a guy, but I think number one is confidence.
Confidence.
Yeah, being able to be a natural leader in the
Yeah.
relationship, and you're actually not going to be a burden,
Right.
right?
So yeah.
So like, they're not babysitting you, they're not your mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you're a man and you're leading that relationship.
Right. So putting myself out there, talking to as many people, I will realize and
Yes.
discover that I am not a burden, because I'm actually getting responses back from
Yes.
the people I'm approaching.
And yes, and even if you're not getting response back,
Yeah.
that doesn't lower your value. Like, not every person is going to be your match,
Yeah.
and not every single person you actually want to be associated with, even,
Right.
right? So also believe in that as well.
Okay.
Just because a person is attractive doesn't mean that maybe that's a person that you want to associate with.
Mm.
It's called the halo effect, where we think that a attractive person is also very smart.
Mm.
They're also
Yeah.
very good, which is
I get that a lot.
a misconception that we have. But the more you take action, the more confident you will get, because you see that it stings less and less. It never stops stinging.
Mhm.
Getting rejected
Mhm.
stings.
Yeah.
But if you can, again, pull your way from it disassociate yourself from
Yeah.
that person, that experience, and try to make it as fun as possible.
Yeah.
Because it's a game at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yep. It really is. Yeah.
And try not to make it too seriously. It's also that sometimes we take ourselves too seriously in that sense. It's just a fun game. As long as you're respectful.
Yep.
As long as you're not groping or engaging in, you know.
He may look like Andrew Tate, but he has completely different views on things.
As long as you're,
I think Andrew Tate needs to listen to Errol.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
as long as you're not engaging in this or inappropriate
Yeah.
actions, and you're being respectful to the other person and playful, I think that's the best way to start building yourself.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? Like with a group of friends, your confidence is like super high. You say whatever's on your mind. You act a certain way. You're goofy a certain way. Like you have no issue because you know them.
The level of comfort.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you can only take that into randos as well, maybe not as goofy or not as, quirky in certain ways, but like just having that mindset. I mean, I'm literally just realizing this now. Like with y'all, I'm like super confident. Like,
Yeah,
I can speak
exactly.
to this. Like, what makes it different with a random person?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's a random person.
You're just worried about what they think of you.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck about what y'all think.
Yes, you already know everything. Like friends, we already know everything. Bad, good,
Right.
great,
Right.
terrible.
And
So,
y'all are still around.
I think it's just correlated.
Yeah.
I think it's what Rooney said. The comfort and confidence is correlated,
Mhm.
right? It's like a line graph. It's all correlated. But this is still in the same topic. This is something I used to do, and I'm kind of upset with myself that I don't do it anymore. I know why I don't do it anymore. I went to one very simple thing was like at a supermarket, passing someone that I have no idea, just saying, hey, not just saying, hey, or like waving or doing the, like, if you know somebody, you go up. If you don't, you just go down.
Yeah.
But actually engaging in a conversation in the sense of like, hey, how are you doing today? And if they counter that with something, then I stop and I would have a conversation or like a brief little thing. If not, I'd be like, oh, hey, how are you doing? They just keep going. And I actually did that on purpose for a little while. And I felt like my social confidence went up because it's like, I can talk to anybody, right? Like, yeah, they're just like me. We just look different. That's the whole fucking thing, right? And so I started doing that. And then I hit this rough spot in life. It got toxic. Hindsight's 2020. Like, there's just I just got in a shitty mindset, so I stopped doing it. But more recently, I started doing it again. I was like, oh, this feels good. And going back to what you said earlier about just talking to random people.
Yeah.
So I while you were talking, I had this thought in my head, like if I'm walking down the street and this attractive girl stopped and said, hey, how are you doing today? Or something like that. I would feel like, I'd feel really good, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of what you said about feeling like a burden, would you feel that way? Like if a girl did that to you, you'd feel good, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah. I feel great.
So like, I feel like they would be the same way if we do that to them.
Right. In a respectful way.
Right. Like, damn that ass.
Yeah.
You shitting them jeans? No.
That's a good point.
The girl with the hair? No. Like, but yeah, thinking about it from the other perspective, like I would feel really good if someone stopped and just asked, how am I doing? It doesn't even have to be an attractive girl.
Right.
It could be anybody. Like I would feel good. So putting that on the opposite, maybe that's something we start doing.
Yeah, I think that's a good practice for me specifically. I'll give a credit to Rooney here. You're really good at like having people just come up to you, or like you have really good conversations with strangers. Like remember that time last week at the gym, that one guy from I forgot where, but he was an older guy. You were doing legs.
Oh yes,
like How do you your mindset? How do you go into like interactions like that? Like how are you so open to?
I think it's the old like treat people how you would want to be treated. And I don't know why, but when I was doing work experience in England, when I was like 16, 17, they nicknamed me Larry because a saying in England is like, you're happy as Larry, always smiling, always feeling like positive. And it's like, you know, I was working at a Porsche garage and I'm like, yeah, I'm positive, I'm around beautiful cars all day.
Yeah.
But it's like people pick up your energy.
Yeah.
You know, you're smiling, you're more approachable. If you're smiling, if you're kind of like putting off a positive, I don't like that vibe.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like it.
It's contagious.
An energy, yeah. So I kind of go wherever I go. If I try to be in a positive mindset all the time, because I know what it's like being negative. I had a very short period of being negative, and I didn't like it. I knew I was doing it. I just didn't like it. So it's like, I respect people who, you know, if they're going through a bad period or something like that and they just don't want to talk, it's whatever. But for me, I just like to try and look positive, look approachable. Like, even if I met this guy at the gym, I learned a little bit about his life, and it's kind of like, maybe he just wanted to talk about that stuff, but no one would approach him or no one would let him approach them, kind of thing. And it's just like, I enjoy the interaction. And I think after you do it, you know, I've been to playing sports, going to different gyms, you know, obviously coming to a new country, you have to put yourself out there to make friends and to be comfortable. And I think I've probably, without knowing, I've been practicing it now for like 12 years, where I've had to put myself, like when I met you guys, going to an American high school. Yeah. I'm like, this is like, I've seen this on TV. And it's intimidating. You know, you see the jocks, the guys with the muscle cars, and you see the beautiful girls, and it's like, wow, like, what am I doing here? But you just kind of mesh into that and realize that, they just got a different accent. You know, they enjoy doing the same stuff as me. Exactly. I think from there, that definitely helped me grow when I moved over here, because you had to put yourself in those situations. But now I just try and give off a positive energy, I suppose, and I'm willing to talk to anyone. And I think when you feel like that, it's easier for people to approach you, because you see people with the RBF, you know, the resting bitch face, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go close to them. It's like, but I've met people like that, and when you get past that, they're soft, this frigging bunnies you haven't met. But it's like, you know, on face value, you're like, oh, I don't want to mess with them. Mm-hmm. But it's just starting off with that positivity, I think is key. Yeah, and even just willing to conversate as well. And, you know,
you don't find them being a burden.
No. I can't. I do enjoy it. I enjoy meeting, like, the guy at the gym. I learned a little about. He's you know, from a different country, so am I, and then, you know, we kind of have a mutual, you know, when did you come? What do you like here? All that kind of stuff, and then it goes on, and then if I see him in the gym again, you know, I can say hello, and it's just, I think, becoming comfortable with yourself, and then comfortable with people around you as well.
I like that. See, that's a good thought process to go about it. Yeah, like that RBF thing is real though. Like for some of us, for real. Like I walk around like, yo, don't approach me, don't come to me. But like if someone did, to John's point, I wouldn't find them being a burden at all whatsoever. So just opened my mind quite a bit here. I like that.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who has a very, you know, by social standards, a very intimidating look, because tattoos and stuff. Yeah. And then he's very active in the gym, so he has a very, you know, threatening look as far as muscular physicality too, and even his RBF, and it's like, I will never talk to that guy. Like, oh my, and he, now that we know him and he's open, he's like, I know I look like I served 20 years in jail, but he's a sweet guy. Yeah. He's awesome to hang out with. It's like, It's just that fake wall we put up for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never fucking talking that good. Fucking put my wallet in my front pocket.
Yeah, I mean, every time I passed it, like, I didn't know him, you know, for a couple of years, didn't really know him, but like every time I walked past him at the gym, like, oh, sorry, sir.
Would you want more weight? I'll put it on for
Like,
you.
I put my head down, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like, oh, like,
Kind of like how.
yeah, exactly. But
Nope.
he's
Yeah, once you get to know him, it's like,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
So, shout out to you if you're listening. By the way,
Well, he knows who he is.
yeah.
And once you realize people are fascinating,
Mhm.
everyone has such a unique story.
Yeah.
And once you share that with them and they share their story with you, just connects you.
Yeah.
And you create this bond with each other.
I like it.
Yeah.
How important would you say being present is? We're going to wrap it up here, but how important would you say being present in the moment is
I
To-
think it's
being successful in life?
very important
Yeah.
for us to be present with the person
Yeah.
or what we're doing is very important, because when we think about it, that's the only time we have,
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
right? We can't necessarily change the past.
Yeah.
Can't necessarily predict the future in some sense. But the only thing that we have control over is the
Mhm.
present time, what we do at this moment, at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we become mindful of our presence, I think the more we bring out our true selves, but that we can also kind of put aside our worries or anxiety, because anxiety and worries can't happen in the moment.
Mm.
And also positivity can't live at the same time with negativity. If you're thinking about positive things, negative things don't have room for that.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
If you fill yourself up with negative thoughts, it's going to take over and you might not be able to think about positive things. So in the same sense, if you're in the present moment, anxiety and worrying can't be a part of that. So the more we practice being more present in the moment, we're going to feel more energized, happier, and we'll see that we do better work.
Mm.
We're more efficient and working at a more optimal level.
Yeah. Because I know there's times where I'm not present, right? And someone does say hi or you know, come up to me and I'm like super short with them because I'm just not aware. I'm like, they kind of, you know, surprise me. And I'm like, I'm good, thanks. And I keep walking. But that's only because I'm not aware and I'm not present in the moment. And that happens to me very often. Used to be a lot better at it, but recently I found out like it's coming back to where my head is always somewhere else.
Mm.
What are some good steps to realizing that you are not present and to kind of switch that mindset, you'd say?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say that you're actually a great listener, right?
Mhm.
And to be a great listener, you need to be present,
Yeah.
so that you can ask even better follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So if you're focused on that, if you're present in that moment,
Yeah.
then as you can see, you can shine with your great questions and insightful questions,
Oh, thanks so much.
and you bring out
Yeah.
more from people.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. I didn't even realize that.
I think in some sense you are really good at being present, but of course we have times where we're maybe again focused on our worries or anxiety and just going through life that we might start deteriorating or just going in many different directions.
Right.
But yeah, it's about awareness really.
Yeah.
Like just try to be present as much as possible, like
Yeah.
practice being present, and it'll become more natural to you.
I like that. Like one of my favorite basketball players right now, Duncan Robinson. He had a great way to realize, like, be aware of that he wasn't present, and then kind of switch it on. It's like, because in a game, some players just aren't there, right?
Mhm.
Their head's somewhere else, and then they don't perform well. So the way he kind of switches that mindset is like to be where your feet are at all times. So try and feel your feet Like even if you're wearing shoes or the ground.
Great one.
And like right now, I actually feel a lot of people just don't realize that you can just go to like part of your body and just like feel it, and like it switches your mind to like the present moment. It's weird, but he gave that advice or that tip on one of his podcast episodes. Shout out to Long Shot Podcast, and I've been able to use that as a practice to be more aware and switch to a more present mindset.
Yeah, that's amazing. And once you said that, there's a practice called a body scan, right? And it starts with really all the way down from your toes, all the way to the top of your head, where you just sit in a meditative state and just feel from toe to your head, like one by one, like your knees, your legs, your arms, your shoulders, and then your head. And it helps you be present and actually start feeling them. So that's a great practice.
Yeah, it's a great feeling when you realize that you are present. It really is. Like you actually notice the clouds, you notice the sun. Like it's so cool. It's like a euphoric feeling, to be honest.
It is.
Before we end the podcast, Errol, you've had some really good quotes on your Instagram page.
Thank you.
Some by you, some not by you, but you really.
Do you have a favorite?
I do have a few favorites. Nice. I will.
You want to plug that again really quick? Your Instagram and YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube is going to be Transcend in Life. And I'll have this like beige to cream color, I think, logo. And for my Instagram, it's going to be Transcend in Life Official.
Okay, nice. Perfect.
Yep, and I will link that in the description of this YouTube video, and should be in the Spotify as well.
So this is one of my favorite ones. I have two, but this one kind of ties back to what we've talked about here. Hesitation and self-doubt could arise in your journey, but don't let it dictate your decisions. Don't drop things halfway because it got uncomfortable for you. Don't fall victim to your emotions. Keep expanding your comfort zone. Hammer away. That's a direct quote by you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's super powerful. I mean, it ties back to everything we just talked about, relationships, to being aware and going in and always trying and if you fail, get rejected, keep going.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Exactly. It covers a lot of things, but I think, it's very powerful. The power of taking action.
Yeah.
And keep moving forward, even if you stumble along the way.
Right. Beautiful. Great way to end.
I think so.
Yeah.
Errol, really appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, joining us. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2 soon.
For sure.
Follow up for sure.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely given me some practices that I will be implementing starting today, even seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
So you've given us all some kind of like practices and everyone who's listening as well.
Yeah.
I can only see positive things coming from these practices. We just got to start.
Yeah. This is the Andrew Tate you should be listening to.
Exactly.
And this is a great learning experience for all of us too.
Yeah.
We're just learning from each other and sharing each other's experiences and things that we've learned.
Yeah.
So
beautiful, man. Appreciate it, dude.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Errol.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Until next time.
Till next time.
Thank you for listening.
Good shit, bro.